Hey everybody, Tim here, and in this video we are going to break down the episode trailer for House of the Dragon, episode 10, The Black Queen, the season finale. So, as always, this is a no book spoiler breakdown. I have not read Fire and Blood. I would appreciate it if we don't put any book spoilers in the comments. We're just going to go based upon what we know about the show, and what we see on the screen will fuel our speculation of what is happening. So, let's get into it. So we open up here. We have Rhaenys saying, "The Greens are coming for you, Rhaenyra, and for your children." We see Daemon, Rhaenyra, and Rhaenys speaking together. Rhaenyra having a reaction to that. Here we see Daemon grabbing Dark Sister, and his voiceover begins, "You can't bend the knee to the Hightowers. They stole your birthright." We get a shot of Dragonstone, Rhaenyra, and Daemon walking off, all in the span of that voiceover. We get a very dramatic scene of Aegon ripping off his eye patch, but we don't see what's underneath. We get a shot here of what's called the painted table, apparently, and Rhaenys' voiceover says, "Every man standing around the painted table urges her to plunge the realm into war." Painted table is really cool looking. I don't know how they achieve that effect without lights, but I would very much know. Hopefully they cover how they made that, because I kind of want to make something like that. But as we see that, we see a shot of Rhaenys outside looking outwards. A piece is slammed down on our Dungeons and Dragons gaming table, our campaign map here. And some old dude, I don't know who he is, tells Rhaenyra to lay siege to the Red Keep. And we get a shot here of a table in the armory as swords are getting sent down. Here we see Jace, Luke, Baela, and Rhaena. I think that's her name. As Jace says, "Send us." We see a sword. Is this Aegon? I think this is Aegon. And then this scene, I'm not entirely sure. I keep trying to watch this, but it's so dark. I can't tell if somebody has a sword in their right hand or not, but it looks like they're wanting to slay a dragon. We have Eric, not Arik, giving Viserys' crown towards Rhaenyra, presumably. "I swear toward the queen." We have Jace on Dragonback as a voiceover begins, "Your cause holds a power that has not been seen since the days of old Valyria." And as that's happening, we see Rhaenyra, the kids in the background, another shot, another angle of all that, of that scene where Jace is saying, "Send us," another angle of that. We have Rhaenyra and what looks to be Aegon from behind. Shot of a dragon's eye. Very cool. And then we see Daemon with a torch singing in High Valyrian. We see 3 dragons flying over Dragonstone, 2 in the front, 1 a little farther behind. I'm assuming this dragon is Syrax. Not Syrax, Syraxes. I keep getting confused with Mortal Kombat. Daemon on the bridge, as he was in episode 2, drawing his sword. The King's Guard, well, I guess they're Queen's Guard, actually, at this point, drawing their sword. And we see Rhaenyra already wearing the crown. And it looks like Otto is there. He's delivered assumably the terms for Rhaenyra's acceptance of Aegon's claim to the throne. But both sides of the King's Guard here are drawing swords on the bridge. And a dragon coming out of the water with its mouth open, close the jaws. I don't see anybody falling into that mouth. And that's it. That is the trailer for episode 10. So, okay. Now that I've taken a closer look at this trailer, I'll probably reiterate some speculation that I mentioned in the podcast a couple days ago. So, given the pacing of the show throughout the first season so far, we haven't really seen any real stakes, if that makes sense. It's mainly been, will the succession happen as Viserys intended? And we already knew that it wouldn't. Like, even if you hadn't read the books like me, as a non-book reader, we all know that it won't. Otherwise, there's no show. So that's no real consequence. There's been inconveniences. There's been politicking, but no true stakes for either side yet. So at this point, if I were to come at this story from a writer or a reader or even a dungeon master, somebody doing a collaborative story for the most part, knowing this is the season finale, you have to have some tragedy now. Something that's a real setback, something visceral to either the Greens or the Blacks, just to really fuck with this whole idea of peace. Because again, we know it's going to happen. Even if you don't watch this trailer, you're not a dummy. You know that there's going to be a war for the throne. It's House of the Dragon. That's the point of this show. So Rhaenyra rejecting the terms and the knowledge that we have that there's going to be bloodshed isn't a surprise. It's not a twist. It's not a, oh, fuck. And we need that, oh, fuck now. So I think that's going to happen by something horrendous happening to someone on one side of the family or the other to really make sure that peace is never going to be an option. And before I watched this, I could have gone either way. Like this would happen to either the Greens or the Blacks. I thought maybe Helena gets killed, maybe Otto. But after really watching this preview and thinking about the tone of this show a little more, from my understanding of the books, the book Fire and Blood, the Blacks and Greens are both painted in this. Both sides of this are terrible, shitty people doing shitty things, and nobody really deserves the throne. But this adaptation is really trying to paint Rhaenyra as the protagonist, and some people may argue that, especially the book readers, but it's true. If you watch the show, if you pay attention to the tone of the show, Rhaenyra is the protagonist of this story, at least for this season. I mean, we all know Game of Thrones, somebody could turn on a dime. So I think the tragedy for this is going to happen to the Blacks and not the Greens. I think the showrunners or writers or whatever will need to give Rhaenyra, and by proxy us as a viewer, that sense of righteous fury. And what's the best way to do that in the Game of Thrones universe, or even any television thing? Two really cheap ways to do that are sexual abuse and child loss, the two things that trigger a lot of outrage. And we see that Rhaenyra is still pregnant, and of course that comes with its own set of issues in the show that's getting really fucking exhausting for me, at least. But I don't mean that. I mean, I totally expect something to happen with that pregnancy, because at this point she's had 4 kids with no issues. 5 kids. But we have this clip here of Jace saying, send the young dragon riders out there for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't think Rhaenyra would actually send them off to war. Well, the war hasn't started yet in this episode, so we don't know what's happening. But obviously, you're putting people on a dragon. The fact that he has to say send us means there's some hesitation, or somebody wants to get proved. You're telling a story that's kind of a tragedy. You're putting them in harm's way. So I don't know if all of them are going. I don't know if it's Jace, Luke, Baela, and Rhaena that are going out. I don't know. I don't even know if Rhaena's gotten a dragon in the 6-year time jump at this point. But the likely outcome here, I think, is that we kill Jace or Luke in this episode. If I were to make an educated guess, since we do see Aemon take off his eye patch, I think it's Luke that's not going to survive. I suspected before I watched this that at some point Aemon is going to get his revenge on Luke. So I think one of the two. I suspect Luke, but either Luke or Jace. Probably not going to make it. Probably we might lose one of the girls, either Baela or Rhaena, if they're all going. I'm not sure. I don't think much is going to come from... So we see both sides, the Queen's Guard and the King's Guard, Daemon's side and Otto's side. They're drawing swords. I don't think much is going to come from that. I think it's going to be another thing like episode 2. It's just going to be more saber rattling. But if Daemon does kill Otto, that would be a pretty cool surprise. Not as cool as if he kills Cole, but I haven't seen Cole in this yet, or in this trailer. Aegon seems to be here. It would be interesting if he gets whacked, and that puts Aemon on the throne, but I don't think that's going to happen in this episode. I think the Luke thing is going to be our big what the fuck, though. If you put too many main character deaths in one episode, it kind of lessens the impact, like Game of Thrones Season 8, when the Night King finally attacks Winterfell and we lose 7 characters. in the span of 45 minutes. And after the third death, you're just kind of numb to it. And you're just like, okay, well, everybody's going to die. It's more of a surprise who's going to survive. So yeah, I really think, I mean, not enough to put money on it, but dollars to donuts. Luke dies this episode, and he's the only death of a character that gets their name in the opening credits. Any other deaths that we might see are probably nobodies. That's my prediction. I don't see Cole in this, which means he'll survive to season 2, which is disappointing. I have no interest in seeing him anymore. They show a lot of dragons in this, so I think they're hinting that we're going to get a big dragon fight. I'm not holding my breath on that scene being very long if we get it, or very good CGI-wise. Hell, I'm not even sure that we're going to be able to see it. It'll probably be too dark. But that's it. That's my predictions. Luke, only main death. Peace is never an option going forward. Those are which is not, neither of those are like big, huge reveals, but that's my speculation. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What theories or speculations do you think we'll do with this show? Just remember, keep it book spoiler free. And that's it. Mike and I will be back next week to record our recap and review of House of the Dragon Season 1 as we deep dive into Episode 10, The Black Queen. So I hope you join us. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, and we will catch you then.